Welcome to the Attractions Group podcast. We're at episode 64. If you're new to the podcast, then welcome. You can find all the ways to listen to the podcast as well as watch by going to attractionsgrouppodcast.com. And it will link you to all the different places where you can hear us and see us and get a hold of us. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at attractions_GRP. Don, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. That .com address makes it so much easier
Oh,
to find us on all those different platforms.
yeah, I know. I thought about doing that. I don't know why I didn't think about doing that a year ago, but I don't know a whole lot about like doing that sort of stuff, so I had to stumble my way through it. But I was able to find it, and that's going to be a lot easier to share with people and do all that. But so, what did you do over the weekend, Don?
I went to see the Taylor Swift movie, the Eras Tour movie. That was a concert that she did out in Los Angeles. And I came away with the thought that she should build a theme park.
Taylor Swift should build a theme park. Awesome,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, this is not unheard of. Not far from where, Taylor Swift rests her head in Nashville, Tennessee. East Tennessee has Dollywood, which Dolly did not found, but she has a huge impact on it, and she's the majority owner. So I don't think it's out of the scope of possibility for Taylor Swift one day to have her own theme park. But what we're gonna do, Don? How are we gonna present this?
Well, let's talk about maybe the top 10 reasons why Taylor Swift should consider building a theme park in Nashville, similar to what Dolly Parton has with Dollywood in the east part of Tennessee. We've talked on previous podcasts about, if a new theme park was to be built somewhere, some of the cities that we thought they could go, and Nashville was one of the ones that, I had mentioned before. So let's talk about the top 10 reasons why Taylor Swift should consider building a theme park in Nashville. Ryan, you go
All right,
first.
I'll take number one. So the number one reason, and these are in no particular order, or else we would probably have started at 10. But the cultural legacy. So Nashville is the music capital of the world, self-proclaimed, but probably true. And it's the world's core of country music. Most country musicians live in that area. They record out of that area, and it's just well known for it. So I would say that being able to celebrate the culture of country music in Nashville, as well as the culture that Taylor herself wants to display, would be a really good reason to have a Taylor Swift theme park in Nashville. What are your thoughts on that?
All right. I agree with you on that. I think that, it certainly would be that cultural legacy that, that you always want to have there. So, you know, could call out there number one. Number two would be the tourism boost.
Hmm.
It could significantly boost tourism in Nashville, would attract fans from around the world, not just the country. We're talking about around the world because it's Taylor Swift. They'd all want to experience Taylor Swift's music and the history in a unique way. And that's what a theme park would do.
Yeah, not unlike Dolly. Dolly has her own museum, which is going to be improved. We'll talk about that in the Pick Six. But uh, I think that it's going to draw a lot of people. I think there's enough Swifties out there that would travel long and far to go to a theme park that is either themed to Taylor Swift, owned by Taylor Swift, named after Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift's been there before. Yeah, yeah, any way that she's touched it. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Number three.
Number 3, so, the economic impact. So, anytime that you're bringing in tourism dollars, when you're bringing in, dollars from areas that are not from Nashville, it's gonna have a big impact, and it's gonna be able to help the people in the communities surrounding the Nashville area. Uh, Tourism is big in Nashville. They can capitalize that, and there can be a big draw on it. And we're talking about hotels and, uh, and the existing things, the Country Music Hall of Fame and so on would all see big boosts as a result of Taylor Swift having her own theme park in Nashville.
Agree with you there. Number four, I think, would be the fan experience. The Swifties, they would have the opportunity to immerse themselves in Taylor Swift's world, enhancing their connection with the artist. And that's always important. She's always looking for ways to connect with her fans. What better way to do that than to have her own theme park?
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree with that. So, I think that her connecting with her fans would be something that would be mutually beneficial. The benefit to the fans themselves is pretty apparent. They get to have this experience, and a lot of them are willing to spend a lot of money to see her in concert, and some of the fans' dads are willing to go see the movie apparently. And uh, but on the other hand, doing something like this might solidify herself as a Dolly Parton and Elvis Presley, something like that. You can be really popular, and in 10 years, nobody can know your name. But something like this might make that connection where it's unbreakable in the future. So, Elvis Presley died before I was born, but I know every song of his because he's a legend, and she has that capacity as well. All right. So, number 5 it'd be educational and inspirational. So it could be designed to inspire and educate visitors in the music industry, as well as talk about Taylor's journey to success, which I think is kind of cool. I mean, if anything, you have the responsibility of a celebrity, as a celebrity, to inspire your fans to be more like you, and you have to be a role model. So if they're like you, they're not a bad person, really. But I think that, using it as an inspirational, and Dolly does it. Dolly talks about her roots in the Appalachian Mountains and how they were dirt poor and there's 12 of them in one house, and, you know, all that is there, and, Taylor can tell her story as well.
She can. Number 6, I think, would be the opportunity to provide a platform to showcase the artistry, creativity, and the innovation of Taylor Swift. I mean, when you watch, her perform and her shows, I mean, she's just not someone up there singing. I mean, it's a big, big production there. So I think that would be an opportunity to showcase a lot of that artistry and creativity that she has. Be promoting her as an iconic figure that she has become in the music industry.
Yeah, I mean, and that goes back to her being able to solidify this as her, legacy, shall we say, you know? Awesome. Maybe Elvis should have a theme park in Memphis, and then every major city in Tennessee can have a theme park that's either owned or associated with a country music or rock and roll star. I think that would be kind of cool. All right. So, next one, preservation of history. Like Dollywood's focus on Appalachian culture, a Swift Park could preserve and showcase the history of country and pop music. And boy, is there a long history of country and pop music, especially in Nashville. The roots trace back through the jazz era, and you know, eh, there's just so many stories to be told, and so many that people don't know. And she could be the one to tell those stories.
Exactly. I mean, there's a lot of the country music legends that I grew up with. They're no longer with us. So something like this would be a way to get those legends back in front of the younger generation, so they're remembered for years to come.
Yeah. What's next?
Community engagement. It would foster community engagement and participation in the promotion of Nashville's rich musical heritage. We keep talking about the tie-ins to music, so there's a lot of reasons that this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. And every major park that's not out of their mind has a community outreach. They want to have a good relationship. This would be a very simple one to kind of dream up because most girls under the age of, well, I don't even want to put that kind of moniker. Most girls, fair amount of guys wanna be exactly like Taylor Swift. So, it's not hard to infiltrate the community and, teach people things and inspire them to learn and to read, and, I mean, we keep on going back to Dolly, and it's not just the geography, it's just that this is such a parallel situation, and similar popularities, if not much more at her age, and what Dolly's been able to do as far as engaging the community, especially in her hometown. So,
What's next?
okay, so we've got international appeal. So Taylor Swift has an international fan base. I don't think that that's a surprise to anybody, and we believe that people would come from all around the globe to see a Taylor Swift theme park. They would probably record 150 countries in the first season, don't you think?
I think there would be, huge crowds almost every day the park was open, and it would be. people coming from all over, like we talked about that, from all over the globe to visit this theme park. So I think that'd be great for Nashville, bring in people who normally wouldn't travel into
Mhm.
Nashville, so they're there for the first time, they're staying in the hotels, they're eating at the restaurants, they're doing all the things to just really be a big, boon there for the Nashville community.
Yeah. And then last one.
I think this diversifying Nashville's attractions with a Taylor Swift theme park could reduce that dependency on those, long time tourist destinations that they have right now. So it's going to give it something new. It'll make the city more resilient in the long run. So you want to have something that, people want to keep coming back for, and this would certainly be it.
Yeah, I completely agree. All of these are all very valid reasons for this to happen. Uh, but when you talk about the contents of the park itself, that's when you can get a little bit more interesting in terms of uh, like what sections could you have in the park? Like what are the different sections of this Taylor Swift park? What would you say if you were going to name a couple sections that you would say would be appropriate for a Taylor Swift theme park? What would they be?
I think she does, when she does this like that Eras tour, it's breaking it down into those different eras of her music. So I think you'd want to kind of break it down into the sections based on, what has inspired her tour. I think that would be the thing I would do.
Would you have a different section or a different flat ride for every ex-boyfriend she's written a song about?
Well, I don't want to go there, because, but I just think that it'd be kind of cool, when you're going in the different sections, the different eras of her, music that she's done. That's what you're hearing over the speakers. The PA is playing her different songs in those different areas of the park.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you there. What do you think that would be like a good signature ride for we need to have like a dark ride that simulates
You
a
gotta have a
concert,
dark
you know?
ride. You gotta have a dark ride, and that would be real. Oh my gosh, what could you do with a dark ride there with all the different things that she's got that you could feature throughout that? So, um, yeah, that would be one of the most exciting attractions and popular attractions there if you had a dark ride that paid tribute to her. I think, you'd have to have, some roller coasters. You don't need a lot, maybe two or three. Something like a Vekoma family coaster. I think like Dollywood has something like that would be good. You want some flat rides, so you look to Zamperla for that. If you do want, some major roller coaster, you can look to RMC to do one of the iBox type coasters, or you can go to B&M and have them do a dive coaster, or you got the Gravity Group could design a wooden coaster, so could GCI. So there's a lot of possibilities. I don't know that you need those big record-breaking coasters, um, but you just need to have the type of rides that you see in any park that makes a park great is just have that variety, something for the kids, something for the families everybody wants to do together, and then have something just for those that are coming for the throw rides. And obviously the stage shows, you would have a lot of fun with that there too.
Yeah, I mean, the stage shows would be pretty obvious because, you would at least have one main stage show that is exclusively Taylor Swift music, and then from there you can branch off to, country music from the '50s or whatever, possibilities are
All the
infinite.
different legends, right? Yeah, all the different legends. You could have one show it's about Johnny Cash. You could have another show it's about Porter Wagner. You got all those different iconic country music legends that everybody in Nashville knows about. But I think there would be a lot of potential there. No shortage of
Yeah.
ideas that you could have for shows.
Yeah, and, I'm just trying to think of ideas that already exist that could be stolen or at least think just showing that that is a proof of concept, and if you think of, like, Aerosmith's Rock and Roller Coaster, at Disney's Hollywood
Yeah,
Studios, you have to get in the limo and make it to the show on time, and, like, that's a good
yeah, Taylor Swift. Yeah, Taylor Swift's concert. Exactly. You could definitely steal that idea. I think that would be another popular attraction there. But what do you think would be so we go to this park. Are they going to be Pepsi or are they going to be Coke?
um, it would be Coke because I probably wouldn't visit if it was Pepsi.
I'm thinking RC Cola might be a fit for this. Just be a little bit different, outside the box. Make it a different, another reason to go there.
You know what's funny is I bet if I think it's Keurig that owns RC Cola, and it's all owned by like a private equity group. But if they struck a deal with her to mention drinking an RC Cola in one of her songs, I bet that that would put them on the map again. I bet that would
Oh,
overnight put them on the map again.
yeah, they would skyrocket up the soft drink charts. So yeah, it'd be very, very popular. So what do you think a Taylor Swift theme park should be called?
Well, I'm trying to think of something that's not obvious. You know, we're gonna make the joke of like, "Oh, Taylor Wood," or whatever because of Dollywood. So
No,
let's
no,
get
no, we
that
don't
out
do
of let's
that.
get that out of the way. But I'm thinking like Swifty World or Swiftyland. Swiftyland sounds kind of cool. That rolls off the tongue. What do you think?
Swiftyland, yeah, Swiftyland could work. Uh, Taylor's World, maybe something like that. But I'm yes, I think Swiftyland would have some legs.
Yeah, we're kind of assuming that the term Swifty will
Swifty's
last.
Great Adventure, Swifty's Great Adventure, something like that.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. I mean,
Swifty's Adventureland or Taylor's Adventureland, anything like that.
yeah.
But you got to have her name somewhere in the title.
Well, you would, and then it has to be really good, and then just to hedge against the bets, you have to make sure that it works with Six Flags over Swiftyland, just in case the things don't work out and the Six Flags Corporation buys them.
Yeah, but
Mm.
for our audience listening, I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you think a theme park in Nashville, you know, uh, under the Taylor Swift brand would work? Would you like to see that? How about it? Let's ask her herself, Taylor Swift. What do you think of our idea? So, definitely, send us a post on our X. It's attraction underscore GRP, and just give us your thoughts. Do you think this would have potential? Would you go to a theme park themed around Taylor Swift?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're asking Taylor Swift that, I would hope the answer is yes, because I would totally go to a theme park themed after Ryan, because it would be awesome. I wouldn't go to a
Oh
Dawn
yeah.
theme park though. It would just have the racer. Um, It'd have the racer and
All
pizza.
right.
Awesome, cool. Like, well, Taylor, if you're out there, we got a $1,000,000 idea for you. I know it's not a lot to you, but it can make it. Cool.
All right. Ryan, we have a listener follower question. What is it?
Our follower question is from, is it Carrick Gilgan? Is that how you pronounce his name? It's at Coaster Hour. For Dawn. Hmm. This sounds like a conspiracy
Okay.
already. It is my understanding that you were involved with bringing coaster stock to KI. What are some of the things that went into getting the event off the ground and later setting up the event every year? So, oh man, get yourself the RC Cola because there's a lot behind this.
Well, I mean, we'll keep it short. I mean, I did come up with the idea for coaster stock, not the idea of a coaster event because those were, out there all over the place, but the name coaster stock and what that event would be. I had gone to a number of different events around the country over the years and took the elements that I liked best about those events and tried to incorporate it into coaster stock. But I also talked to a lot of, I had a panel of coaster enthusiasts. It was a group of over 20 that I asked them to tell me, they're well traveled. They've gone to all the events too. What did you like about this? What didn't you like about that? Um, One of the negatives that came across almost across the board from everybody was that they didn't like that a lot of time during the ERT sessions that the wait time was no different than a normal day. That it was still 45 minutes to an hour to get on the different coasters. So I wanted to um, alleviate that by having enough attractions open, but also limiting the capacity for the event. Make it a tough ticket. So I wanted it to be something if you came from, far away, California, um, Utah, maybe out of the country, and you came to this event, that you were going to be able to, if you wanted to get night rides on the Beast, be able to get, five, six, 10 rides, during the ERT session. So I wanted it to have value for the participants. But what really goes into it is you can have the best idea in the world, but you have to get buy-in from each of the different departments. They have to be as excited about it as you are, because everything out in the park, it's a touch point everywhere. Admissions, guest services, it's maintenance, food service, park. Everybody is involved in this event, and you're opening the park early. You're keeping it open late. So everybody has to be excited about it. And just to get that buy-in, I think that's the biggest thing to get it off the ground and set up the event every year is just to get everybody on board with what you want to do and why you want to do it.
Yeah, I remember brainstorming ideas for the name of the event with you, and if I recall, and this is a long time ago at this point, but I think that the name Coaster Stock, that was definitely you, but I feel like you didn't we weren't talking about Woodstock. I think we were talking about Wayne Stock from Wayne's World 2, and that's how the idea for
Yeah,
Coaster
it
Stock.
was all those different things, but no, I was gonna be I wanted it to be like a gathering of people, I envisioned people descending upon
Mm,
Kings Island for this event from all over, so, when you think about Woodstock, all those people descended there, for that, so that's how Coaster Stock, kinda came up as the name, so just, people descending upon the park, for this event, but it's worked out well, and it's been, the right decision to limit the capacity, it became a tough ticket,
mhm.
sells out within minutes, and it offers the value that I thought it had to have. But a lot of that came again from it wasn't just my ideas; it was talking to a lot of people, enthusiasts who had gone to these events, all over the country, and getting their feedback, and not just basing on what I thought, but what did the people who attend this event think. And I think that's important too. It's not for you, it's not for your park, it's for the attendees. And what do they want that's going to make it a great event?
Yeah, and, it'll be interesting to see what the event looks like moving forward without your brazen leadership. It'll be cool to see what happens. Um, all right, cool. Well, that's a really good question. We only asked that if you send a question for Don, you also send a question for me too. That's our one request. I'm totally kidding. Okay. Um,
Yeah, we're not gonna ask any or take any more questions till the next one's for
that's
Ryan.
true.
So make sure when you go to our X, go to the place where you'll find the post where we're soliciting your questions. Make your next question, direct it to Ryan, or we're just not gonna to have a follower question segment anymore until you get one for
So
Ryan.
you think we should just have like 3 minutes of silence in between our main show and the pick six from now on? Like, I mean, like, if they don't have a question for Ryan, then they can just sit through the segment where we would be talking about, the listener question.
I think that would help spur some questions for you.
Mhm,
I'm surprised that there haven't been a lot of questions directly for you. I mean, there's been questions that are geared to your expertise all the time,
mhm.
but I'm surprised that no one has just said, Ryan, what are your thoughts on? I mean, if you're interested in mobile apps and that, I mean, Ryan's your guy to ask those kind of questions. Expert on that.
Yeah, well, and, I mean, to be honest with I completely understand this whole dynamic of, that I'm Don Helbig's co-host, and it's less so the other way around,
No, not at
because
all.
well, no, because
Not at
you're the
all.
local celebrity, you're like the weatherman, and everybody in the area knows you. So, that doesn't make it any
All
less
right.
fun for me. Okay, cool.
All right. Well, moving on. What time is it,
Well,
Ryan?
it's time for us to make an announcement about the next segment because we forgot to do it at the top of the show like we had discussed. So, we're coming up on the pick 6, and, we've been talking to a lot of people, because as you guys know, we run 2 podcasts. We have the Attractions Group podcast, and then we have Tower Topics, which is exclusively a Kings Island podcast. So, Tower Topics is a little bit different because we drop them like, in 15-minute segments, and we usually do either, like sometimes I do it 3 all at a time or every other day or something like that, but the feedback for that's been very positive. So, what we've decided to do is that for the sake of sometimes the shows run extraordinarily long and, we've gotten feedback about that, we're gonna start splitting up the show. And we're gonna have the main body of the show, and then we're gonna have the listener question, then we're gonna end, and then we're gonna have pick 6 as a second drop. It's gonna be on the exact same night, go up the exact same time, so you don't have to wait for it or anything. But a lot of people have been saying that, "Oh, I didn't make it to the pick 6." When we have some of these, especially like high profile guests and, it's an hour and a half talking to them, we totally get it. So, the feedback was that they wanted the pick 6 to be more accessible. So don't be surprised. Starting next week, the pick 6 will be a different drop at the same time as the main podcast app. So cool. Awesome. Anyway, but for the last time on the main podcast, shall we say, It's time for a little segment we like to call the Pick Six. All right. So, I guess I have the first one then, don't I?
You do.
As published on Monday by Theme Parks by Dawn, which can be found at themeparksbydawn.com. Dollywood in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee will debut the new Dolly Parton experience in spring of 2024. I'm more excited about this than I should be, by the way. The interactive exhibit showcases the iconic career of Dolly Parton, including her signature style and biggest dreams. The theme park will also expand its operating schedule to 280 days next year. Wow. Dollywood keeps on doing stuff right, don't they? Um,
They do. And, when you're talking about expanding to 280 days, that's a significant increase. It's 23 more operating days than they traditionally have. They bring back their popular events every year. So, if you're a pass holder, they're going to have those signature events, like the Harvest Festival that's going on right now. They're going to have their Christmas event. They have several other events throughout the year. So, you can count on those things happening when you buy a season pass.
Yeah, in fact, they announced. I didn't know if they would do this or not. I didn't know how they would fashion this, but they announced that they're gonna bring back the 50th anniversary of the song "I Will Always Love You," which is before the spring celebration. The spring celebration got pushed a little bit further into the season. Um, I didn't think they'd be able to bring that back because it's celebrating the 50th and this will be 51 years, but it's more of a celebration of the song and the legacy of the song, which I think is rightful, and, I mean, the song's so good, and it's got such a great story that I'm glad to hear it, you know?
Yeah, and another part of 2024 is going to be, the reopening of Lightning Rod with the new launch system in place. Replacing that, and hopefully, the plan is that it's going to be a more reliable ride. So when you go to Dollywood, you don't have to hope Lightning Rod is open. It should be.
Yeah, the lightning rod's gonna be it's gonna be great, it's gonna be reliable, I'm very confident in that, but they closed down the Dolly Parton Museum, last year or 2 years ago, and they've been very transparent that that was gonna be part of the park capital for this coming year, for 2024. Um, I always love the Dolly Parton Museum because, I mean, I don't sit around and like rock out to. I mean, I usually listen to it on the way to Dollywood, but Dolly is such like a just such a pure human being and such a legend. It's one of those things where it's like it's so cool to be in the presence of stuff that's owned by this person, you know? And to be alive at the same time as this person, it's one of those things. So I'm really excited for the reimagining of the Dolly Parton Museum and all the things that they have in store. Yeah.
It's going to be a great year.
Yeah, it's certainly will be. All right, what's next?
Well, more details have been revealed about the new Fast and Furious themed roller coaster planned for Universal Studios Hollywood in California. The theme park plans to install a sound wall as well as restrict the ride's construction to specific hours and build ride vehicles that rotate 360 degrees to reduce noise and avoid disturbing nearby homes. I think if I lived there, I'd kind of like to hear the noise of the park, but that's just me. The sound wall is slated to be longer than two football fields and will be built to help reduce sound from the attraction from traveling into the community. And the coasters will also have will have a half pipe shields that will help reduce sound from traveling into the community.
How is rotating vehicles going to help with sound?
I don't know. I'm not an engineer, but like I said, if I lived in a neighborhood, I would kind of like to, hear those sounds. I think it would be kind of, you know, part of the uniqueness in living near the park is just to be able to have that. If I lived near Kings Island, I'd love to be able to hear the train, whistle and those kind of things. It would kind of, uh, you know, just be kind of a cool thing. But again, that's me. But I understand it. I think when you talk about the homes in those, that area, that a lot of those people, maybe they just want it to be quiet.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the people that aren't into parks don't really appreciate the noise that comes from parks, but that's on them, not on us. But yeah, Fast and the Furious. For those of you who don't know, that is there's an upper lot and there's a lower lot to Universal Hollywood, and that's being built on the hill in between. So that should be a really really cool ride. Okay, let's move on. Um, so Moncton Council voted Monday to look at alternative sites and collaborative models for an aquatic center, which is the first stage in the city's plan to construct an indoor pool over the next years in Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada. I guess it has to be an indoor pool in Canada because probably your swimming season's like 3 weeks.
I've passed through Moncton before, and yeah, indoors the only way to go.
Yeah, so this comes after a study from the city's master plan recommending an indoor pool. Well, I mean, if the the study showed an outdoor pool, you fire your city manager, with up to 3 tanks housing a warmer, therapeutic pool, leisure pool, and splash features, and 25-meter pool with 6 to 10 lanes. That would be nice for that community, right?
It would be. I mean, even though you lived in Moncton and it's sub-zero degree temperatures for several months of the year, just very cold there. People still like to swim, so I think this is a great thing to have an indoor, swimming pool type facility. I like it.
Yeah, and, I noticed that, it's a lot about the heating and stuff like that. It just an indoor pool just isn't the same, but, I mean, again, God, what's your swimming season really like there? It's gotta be 2.5 months, maybe?
People have got used to watching baseball and football indoors. They can get used to swimming indoors.
Yeah, that's true, that's true. What's next?
Well, work started Tuesday in Louisville, Kentucky on the Speed Art Museum's new The Speed Outdoors Initiative, which is expected to open late 2025 as part of this project. A sculpture park with 13 contemporary sculptures and a space for community gatherings will be built on 3 acres of land surrounding the museum. I think Ryan, this fills a need for more green space in Louisville.
I agree. I'm wondering if, the name Speed is the same people from Speed School, which is the engineering school at University of Louisville, if I'm not mistaken. And that's an odd amount of information for this podcast, but yeah, definitely cool. The city of Louisville is definitely making a lot of steps in the right direction. Helps that they have a Herschend property there now, doesn't it? But very good for
It
them.
does. It's a very nice, pretty city to pass through.
Yeah, but they do have like the Louisville Slugger Factory and Museum. That's kind of cool.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So Don, you had this is going to be number 5, by the way, for those of you keeping notes at home. But Don had his first Sandusky Register article written. It's about Top Thrill 2. Top Thrill 2 is a reimagining of Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point, which has been closed for a couple years. And it's going to feature LSM launches instead of a hydraulic launch. So it's going to be a 3 pass through swing launch, and they're adding a 420-foot spike. Um, so Don, like, let's talk about this. So you wrote about Cedar Point for the Sandusky Register. How did that feel?
Felt good. I like writing about parks, and you know that Cedar Point has a very, you know, strong and passionate fan base, and the Sandusky Register is, read by a lot of their fans. So it felt good to be able to publish an article in the Sandusky Register and kind of give an update for all those who hadn't been to Cedar Point this fall. An update on the construction of Top Thrill 2. It's really taken shape, and during the week when the park's closed, they make a lot of progress. So when you go week to week, you just see how much closer to getting done to having this complete.
Aside from I love Top Thrill Dragster, so I'm cautiously optimistic about Top Thrill 2 because it's like touching my baby. But besides that, I think we're all like so rooting for Zamperla to nail this. So their trains work well, their launch system works well, their conversion works well, because I want another really good player on the block that can make extreme rides. Don't you think?
I think so, and I think they're going to nail it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they do, so
I mean, there's a lot of obviously, there's whenever you have something like this going on, and you're getting parties together that have never done anything of this nature. There's always going to be, those questions and concerns and that. But I really think they're gonna nail it, and visitors to Cedar Point are going to have a fantastic coaster on their hands.
yeah, let's all hope.
Not that there aren't a number of them already there that are fantastic. This is just going to add to those, to that lineup that they have there.
Yeah, and you know what's sad is like Cedar Point, it's a bucket list of rides. It's almost any kind of ride out there you can imagine. And when the people, the YouTubers and stuff say this is what's going to be next for Cedar Point, it's always got to be something kind of obscure. Like I mentioned like a mock extreme spinner or a flying coaster or something like that, but because they have so many of the boxes checked. But I tell you what, Top Thrill Dragster being the crown jewel of all that, that's such a gaping hole in that park. I so miss having it and being able to ride it, so I'm so excited to have, a new iteration of it back again, don't you?
And when you look at this ride, Top Thrill 2, there is nothing out there anywhere that's gonna even be close to replicating the experience that you're gonna get on this reimagined coaster.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, you're gonna lose that 0 to 120 launch sensation, and you're gonna feel that, like, that's gonna be a big loss, but what you gain is pretty impressive as well. It does the first launch, it comes back for a rollback, then a rollback is some.
Well, that was always a favorite too of riders on Top Thrill. You always hope to get that rollback. I had that happen once, and it was a phenomenal experience, and you wish that happened on every ride, when you were riding Top Thrill Dragster. So, I think taking that element and making it something that you get to experience every ride, I think that's gonna, be a guest favorite on this, and I think it just really, it's just really exciting what they're doing with it.
Yeah, I agree, and it's funny because I never had a rollback. I really wanted one, but I remember the first time I rode, it was one of the situations where it was down all day, and then we're about to leave the park, and they open it up. We're like, "Okay, we get to ride that." So I ride in the front row, and the trains before us, they're rolling back 2 and 3 times, like, as they have a tendency to do. It's designed to do all this stuff, but I get on, and I remember thinking like, "My God, I hope it doesn't roll back," because I was so terrified, even as, like, an adult, just that first time there's nothing like that first time you hop on there and you see that stretch of track and you're gonna be launched 0 to 120 miles an hour and then just flipped up 420 feet in the air. But I was rooting against it. It almost happened, but yeah, I never got to do a rollback, you know?
All right, well, moving on to number 6 of the Pick 6, theme parks have been doing Halloween Horror Nights as an annual spooky tradition for a long time, but it feels like in recent years it has become an increasingly popular destination for movie and TV aficionados as each year fans look forward to seeing which of their favorite films and shows get adopted to haunted houses at different events. So it's not surprising then to hear that Universal is now planning a whole year round horror experience. This one called Universal Horror Unleashed. The press release that they distributed announcing this new venture says it'll be located at Area 15 in Las Vegas. It describes it as a variety of unique, immersive, and horror centric experiences. It'll be surrounded by eerie eateries and bone chilling bar areas, and it will deliver on the thrills Universal horror fans have come to love and excite anyone looking for a new level of experiential entertainment. So, Ryan, your thoughts on something like this that would be open year round?
I mean, you can really only do it in Vegas. Just because it's people looking to be entertained. I mean, Orlando might work too, but that could cannibalize their actual event. But I think it's fantastic. In fact, I have never been to Vegas. It's a bucket list thing. I really want to go, but this is definitely something. Probably within the first month or so, I'll probably whenever it opens, I'll make the trip out there, and that'll most certainly be part of it, and it'll be my excuse to go. To be honest with you, but I think it's exciting. Do you know, about Area 15? Are you familiar with that at all?
I am not. So, fill
So
me
Area
in.
15, is I'm gonna describe this the best I can because and I'm definitely gonna talk out of term, but, several YouTubers and stuff, I know Jacob the Carpetbagger went to one, the one in Vegas, I believe. But so Area 15 is started as, like, an art exhibit, and what it is it's like an oddball grocery with like, they've got, like, fake products and stuff in there, but it's like a walkthrough experience. It's weird. I would encourage anybody after they're done with this, to look up Area 15 on YouTube, and it's really hard to put into words exactly what it is, but that's another thing that I really wanted to check out. They're building one in Orlando too, but I don't know if we have an ETA on that or not, but I think that, this whole project is gonna be fascinating, and I think it's gonna go very, very well for them.
Yeah, I think it works well, like you said, in Vegas. Probably wouldn't work too well in other places. Maybe you could do it in Orlando, like you mentioned, but you don't want to take away from your other events. So, um, yeah, I'm looking forward to keeping tabs on the development of this.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, and Universal is, they're expanding, they've got, some of the micro parks that they've announced. They've got, the 3rd Gate Epic Universe in Orlando, um, and, they've got a whole team of people that are looking for opportunities. We've mentioned this a couple times, but the Philadelphia Phillies now have a Toothsome restaurant there, which is an original, Universal creative, creation, so that's gonna be very interesting, and I bet it'll be well beyond anything that you see at, Hollywood or Orlando as far as Horror Nights is concerned, because they spend millions of dollars on these haunted mazes, but they still know that they have to put them up in a certain amount of time and then tear them down really quickly because they reuse the sounds sorry, they reuse the sound stages. This isn't the case. They're gonna build this thing and probably have it for years and then probably, like, do it again. So they'll be able to do whatever they want, really, It doesn't have to be mobile. It doesn't have to be something that's redone or anything like that. So I'm really excited to see the next steps for this. Cool.
I am too.
Awesome. Well, this has been a very interesting and very swifty podcast for us, hasn't it?
It has been.
Uh,
So, again, give us your thoughts on a Taylor Swift themed theme park in Nashville and send us your thoughts on our X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. It's attractions underscore GRP.
Yeah, and then make sure that if you're, especially if you're a new listener, welcome, and you can find all the places to listen to the podcast and where to find us at attractionsgrouppodcast.com. It's a fresh new URL. It's still got that fresh out of the box smell to it. I assure you, you'll have a wonderful experience going to this website that just redirects to a link tree. Cool. Well, Don, it's another one in the books. What is it? 64.
Yeah, 64, and we've got some great things planned, some good guests that you're not going to want to miss listening to, coming up in the weeks ahead. So, thanks for listening.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Yeah, attractionsgrouppodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter at attractions underscore GRP. Oh, yeah, and shout out themeparksbydon.com if you want to read about like Top Thrill 2. No, no, that was Sandusky Register. What'd you write about on Theme Parks by
Yeah.
Don? Oh, the Dollywood thing. Yeah, if you want to read about the
The Dollywood,
the
yes.
Dollywood expansion for next year, that's on themeparksbydon.com. But thank you everybody once again for listening. You're really appreciated. We'll see you next week.